Hi everybody, this is the website boy again with another PHP tutorial. On the last tutorial, we were talking about uh, passing arguments to functions, and we were, but we were just echoing stuff out of the function. On this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the function a lot more flexible by actually returning data that we can use to do other things other than echoing stuff out of the function only. So our functions before were flexible, but they were not as flexible as they could be when we return data from them. So I already made a new file called 30 underscore, whatever, all these names. I'm not going to say it because it's a lot. So you can just name this file whatever you want. You can rename it returning function returning data or whatever, returning data, whatever. Anyways, let's just make a function here called calculation. I'm going to show you how to make this a lot more flexible than we've been doing lately. We're going to be returning data, and then we're going to be using that data to do other things with it instead of just echoing out of the function. All right, I already said that, didn't I? Anyways, so the first thing I want to do is I want to create some variables right here so I can pass these arguments to the function when I call it. So number 2. All right, so when I call the function, I want to do something. What I want to do is I want to multiply some numbers, and I'm gonna assign number 1 multiply by number 2. This function is just gonna multiply two numbers that I'm gonna pass it when I call it, and then it's gonna echo. And I'm gonna show you this is the bad way of doing it, but I want to do it first so that I show you how more useful it is when we are just returning data instead of using it and doing stuff, echoing stuff out. And I'm just gonna call the function called calculation, and I'm gonna pass it two values, 4 and 5, and that's gonna give us a 20. As you can see here, we are passing 4 and 5, and 4 is the number 1 as an argument, and 5 is number 2. So when we multiply 4 times number 2, right, 5, that equals 20. We know that. But that's not flexible. The only thing that we are doing with this is making the calculation and echoing stuff out. What about if I want to go ahead and grab this whole function and divide it by another function, right? Why not, right? So what we need to do is replace that echo with a return keyword, which is a reserved keyword in PHP. What this is going to do is going to return total to us. It's going to return this calculation. So we do whatever we want with it outside. What I'm going to do, and believe it or not, is I'm going to assign this whole function to a variable. Yeah. And it's gonna be called new cow. And now this whole function is assigned to this variable. So what I can do now is I can do whatever I want with the functionality of this function. What I want to do right now is echo new cow, and I'll show you right now what I mean. If I echo it and I refresh, it gives me the same number. But if I change the values here, save and refresh, you see that? Now we can use this variable, this whole variable right here. It's this variable, simple variable, is equal to this whole functionality of this function, right? You see how flexible that is? I can go ahead and add this to something else, right? I can even go ahead and call a new cow 2, and use the same function right here, calculation, right? And use another number. Use another, because it takes two arguments, right? Two values I got to put in here. So I'm going to, this number that I'm multiplying right here, I'm going to multiply by another number. And I'm going to say, right here, I can use this one here to make this calculation, and I'm going to echo out result 2. That's going to be crazy, isn't it? You see how flexible, how more flexible this is? New cow. I'm doing something wrong here. And of course, I forgot to include the dollar sign symbol. And undefined variable result, it's supposed to be echoing, not result, new cow 2. I don't know what the heck I'm getting the result from. Refresh, and now we got 500. As you can see here, I'm using this function again with another value, different value. Can you believe that? Beautiful, isn't it? So you see how more flexible this is? Now this new value here, I can use it with something else. I can add it up, I can divide it, I can keep using these values with other functions and make them even more flexible. I mean, they are unlimited things that you can do when you are using arguments and you are returning data from that function outside, because then your function is so flexible now that you don't have to repeat yourself. You can just make a little function that for some reason redirects the user to another web page, right? And then you can use that name all the time because you're returning that data somewhere else and you can work with it. But most of the time when we are returning data, we are making calculations and things like that. But anyway, that's another different subject that I'm not going to get into right now. But I just wanted to show you that how flexible we can make functions when we return data out, and we can use it outside the function to do other things. But anyways, if this tutorial was able to help you and you were able to learn something new today, please favorite, please like it. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope my time was well worth it and you were able to learn something new today. Again, the website boy out.